Robert Downey Jr. returns as Tony Stark in Iron Man 2 and reunites with co-star Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, and once again we have director Jon Favreau at the helm. Famously, the Rhodey situation was shaken up in Iron Man 2, where we once had Terrence Howard, we now have Don Cheadle. Other new additions to the cast include Mickey Rourke as Ivan Vanko, Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, and of course, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow. In Iron Man 2, Tony Stark has settled into his new role as Iron Man, even though the arc reactor that powers his heart and his suit is slowly killing him. Meanwhile, Ivan Vanko, the son of a scientist who was disgraced by Tony's father Howard, seeks revenge and seeks to destroy the Stark legacy. So I think it's safe to say that Iron Man 2 is one of the few movies in the MCU that truly has a bad rap. Even a lot of the lesser loved MCU movies, I feel like, have a fan base that will support the movie and go to the mat for it, even though some people don't get a whole lot out of that. I have that. You guys are going to learn about some of the movies that a lot of people hate in this franchise that I absolutely love. But I don't think I've ever heard someone really try to defend Iron Man 2 as something that's great. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's willing to die on that hill. And I get why. Where the first Iron Man felt new and energetic and alive, this one just feels like it's going along and hitting the beats. The movie has some interesting concepts that it tries out, but at the end of the day, it never really follows through on any of them, or really does anything that interesting with them. The fact that the thing keeping Tony Stark alive and giving him his power is slowly killing him is an interesting idea. Tony giving away all of his stuff, giving the company over to Pepper, and essentially carrying out his last will is a fascinating idea. And it's done pretty well for most of it, until it's way too neatly wrapped up with the whole new element bullshit that comes out of nowhere and makes absolutely no sense. The villain of the movie, Whiplash, is, once again, another pretty bad one for the MCU. 3 for 3, but don't worry, we'll have a good villain in the next one. You know what's coming. He's just another dude in an Iron Man suit. This time he just has, like, some electric whips at the end of his hands, which are pretty not great. I mean, they're cool, but they, like, do nothing. Whenever Whiplash gets into a fight and Tony Stark actually, like, puts on his Iron Man suit, like, it's over in 10 seconds. So, like, you know, it's cool, like, set dressing, but, like, it doesn't do anything. He has an interesting motivation. Like I said, his father was wronged by Howard Stark, and he and his father have to live in this Siberian wasteland because of it, and he wants revenge for that, you know? At least it's something. And for destroying the Vanko legacy, he wants to destroy the Stark legacy. You know, it makes sense. It's a motivation. But by the end of it, it does not seem like that's his motivation anymore. And whatever he does doesn't really fall in line with that. So why make that his starting point? That's his motivation, and then we don't build towards that to the end. So his whole thing is he wants to destroy the Stark legacy, right? So why does he want to, like, interrupt and sabotage a Hammer Industries panel at the Stark World Fair thing? Like, I don't know how that destroys the Stark legacy. If anything, that makes Justin Hammer look bad. And he's able to do that on his own. So how does that work? I don't get the plan. I feel like if Ivan Vanko just did what Justin Hammer wanted him to do and built the Iron Man suits, that's a better way to destroy the Stark legacy. You take the thing that makes Tony Stark special, and you make it not special. Tony Stark and his crusade and him being Iron Man is meaningless now because you've just created 1,000 Iron Man suits that anyone can have. Not only does it make sense for Ivan Vanko to do that and goes along with his character motivation, it gives Tony some interesting stuff to struggle with. He now has to question what happens in a world where there are like 1,000 Iron Man suits going around. What does he do? How does he now define himself? But, you know, that's just an idea, just something I was thinking. Something I'd much rather like to see instead of just the, you know, Iron Man drones going around blowing up the Stark Expo. A couple hours after Ivan Vanko just literally calls Tony Stark and is like, yo, I'm alive. I'm up to some evil shit. And like, this dude is supposed to be smart. Like, really smart. Like, an equal to Tony Stark smart. And it does not show in his actions, and it doesn't show in his motivations, or his plan for revenge. Honestly, out of the two villains, I like Justin Hammer more. He still has the foil to Tony Stark that Obadiah Stane had, and also, he's played by Sam Rockwell. And I fucking love Sam Rockwell. He's got the same thing that Robert Downey Jr. has, where you're just seeing what he's doing on screen, and you're just like, damn, that guy has charisma. But at the end of the day, neither of them are truly that effective as villains, which is a bummer, because I think both of these guys are good actors, just they're not given a whole lot to do. Speaking of not having a whole lot to do in this movie, let's talk about Scarlett Johansson. She is incredibly underutilized as Black Widow in this movie, especially knowing what they're going to be doing with Black Widow in later movies. She doesn't even really feel like a character in this movie. She feels like set dressing. It literally feels like she's only there to look pretty, to seduce Tony Stark, and to have that really cool fight scene at the end. When people say that this movie feels like a commercial for the Avengers, this is the most guilty party. Natasha Romanoff and Scarlett Johansson deserve better, and thank God that they got it in later movies. So I would say that this movie has one massive silver lining, and it's Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. I mean, he's just perfect at playing this role. He's witty, he's smart, he's genuinely heartfelt when he needs to be, and when the character is at his most vulnerable, you truly do feel it. Considering that we've been talking about how great Robert Downey Jr. is at playing Iron Man for about 10 years, I don't think there's a whole lot more that I can add to the conversation about how great he is at playing Iron Man, except to say, he's great at playing Iron Man. That's a universal truth. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and there's not going to be another Iron Man like him ever. As far as Don Cheadle, I think the switch is a welcome one. When I first heard that the switch had happened, and when I first saw the movie, I think I was still more partial to Howard just because of the fact that he's in the first Iron Man, and I love the first Iron Man so much. But after seeing Cheadle over all these years, and seeing him in all these different movies, and seeing him develop the character, I think we got the right man for the job at the end of the day. Especially watching the scenes between him and Robert Downey Jr. They have fantastic chemistry. They genuinely feel like friends who have been through a lot together, which is something that I never really got from Terrence Howard. As far as Tony's relationship with Pepper, I feel the same way about it that I did in Iron Man. It's good. They have good chemistry. They have good scenes together. Some of the tension and the arguments between the two feel a little bit more forced this time around, but honestly, a lot of the stuff in this movie feels forced. So I'm not going to go too hard on it considering it's one of the better aspects of the movie. The action set pieces in this movie are pretty bland. It just doesn't have the same spark that the first movie had in its action, where we were seeing the suit in some of its first action. We were seeing Tony learn how to use the suit. This movie just doesn't really have a great action sequence like the jet chase or the escape from the cave in the first one. Iron Man 2 still benefits from the fact that it's an Iron Man movie starring Robert Downey Jr., but the other aspects of the film leave a lot to be desired. I give Iron Man 2 a 2.75 out of 5. A lot of people think that this is the worst MCU movie. I definitely won't go that far. My least favorite of the MCU is coming up. You'll definitely know it when you see it. But honestly, I still enjoy this movie a little bit at least, just because I love seeing Robert Downey Jr. play Iron Man. Plus, I just love the first Iron Man so much that I still think I carry over a lot of goodwill from that movie going into this one. So what do you guys think of Iron Man 2? Is it the worst movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or has it gotten way too much of a bad rep over the years? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on my Twitter and my Instagram, which I'll have the links for those down in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.